kind of a sucker you've got to be a New Yorker? You've got to be the biggest sucker in the world. I must have died of COVID, and I woke up in a different dimension in a different world. Squatters can go into another person's house, call the cops, and have the homeowner arrested. Bro, I know exactly what I would do if I was in that situation. If I can't have my house, nobody can. I would give 5 seconds warning to get the dog out of there. And after that,
everyone's a victim!
Welcome, guys, to Gerard versus Evil. This is our pilot episode, the first one, but it's really a revamp of the old Antagonistic America that got everything started. Before the PBD podcast, before Slick and Thick, there was Antagonistic America. My hair was about 10 inches longer and my waist about 10 inches wider. But now the world is actually worse than it was then. We started that in the depths of the vid. Right, as soon as we got out of the quarantine, this all started, Christian, with lives off my phone, connecting with people during the days of the lockdowns, just trying to find anybody out there that didn't think I was crazy. And fast forward 5 years later, and here we are. Look at Christian over there. Christian, pull yourself up for the people that have never seen Christian before. Christian over there in the booth.
What up?
How you doing, brother?
Me.
Everybody
good.
Finally gets to see Christian. Everybody gets to see Christian. Looking good. All froed out. So, a lot going on today, Chris, that we're going to talk about. A lot going on. Trump had his bail reduced in the continuing lawfare against him. You have craziness going on over in Russia. This Cold War, hot war going on. You've got Shohei Ohtani that is letting his interpreter take the fall for him. And you have some suspect dealings in Boeing as well. But the number one story today, believe it or not, is not even P. Diddy, formerly known as Puff Daddy. A cargo ship, a container ship, smashed into a bridge in Baltimore Harbor. 6 people are assumed dead, which is a tragedy, but also kind of a miracle. Shout out to the construction workers that were working in the middle of the night that risked their own lives when there was a mayday that came from the cargo ship that they had lost control and lost power and the ability to steer, that got everybody off of this bridge. These guys and girls, but I'm assuming guys, because construction workers who work overnight, pretty much dudes. These guys could have very easily hightailed it and ran. Could have very easily been like, I am not getting paid for this bullshit. Overtime's not worth my life. But they helped people get off the bridge, and more importantly, they stopped people from going on the bridge. And for people that haven't seen it, Chris, you can pull it up. It's a really remarkable sight, this giant container ship. Now, I don't know, you've probably seen these out in Cleveland, the Mistake on the Lake out there. But where I grew up in Jersey, Port Elizabeth, Jersey exists as a port. New York, Brooklyn, Staten Island, this is nothing but container ships nonstop. And it's a place known as land of 1,000 bridges. This is nothing but tunnels and bridges where I grew up. And this is like a nightmare scenario. Society is breaking down around us in real time. We have planes that can't fly. We have ships that can't sail. You can't even trust driving over a bridge anymore without absolute catastrophe being risked. Take a look at this. Thank God it was in the middle of the night instead of during a busy rush hour workday. The container ship loses its power and slams into one of the pylons holding the bridge up, and then, boom, calamity ensues. Go ahead, Chris, pull it up.
And it's not really playing. I think I'm having an issue playing video on the live.
Okay, that's fine. But if people haven't seen it, for the people that are just listening,
kind of click through.
Look at that. Look at that click through. Go ahead, do that again for the people. This is like time lapse photography. It's a slow motion shipwreck. This guy is going straight into one of the two stanchions that hold this bridge up. He makes contact, and boom, there goes the whole bridge. And anybody that was on it, they're still searching for people. There's 6 people that were missing. As of this broadcast, cars have gone to the bottom of the river. They're using sonar to try to find them. Who knows? Miracles happen. Hopefully those people will be saved. But man, I tell you what, in a world where you get labeled as a conspiracy theorist for just asking questions, the timing is just very questionable that a tragedy like this would happen so close after a terrorist attack in Russia. Now, it's huge leaps and bounds to try to connect those two. But when things that never happen in close succession to one another, it's pause for reflection and questioning. And I don't like in our society you get labeled a conspiracy theorist. I'm not saying that the two are related whatsoever. I think it's very strange that they ruled out terrorism immediately. Both Baltimore and Homeland Security. But I frankly have lost so much trust and faith in our government that for them to rule that out immediately makes me feel like, how would you possibly know? How would you know? And then there's another Twitter feed that you can pull up that was retweeted by one of the people that I think is one of the brightest human beings on earth, and Chamath Palihapitiya. How do you say that last name? Chamath. You know what I'm talking about? Chamath Palihapitiya.
I do not.
Really, really brilliant tech billionaire who is a minority owner in the Golden State Warriors now. He's one of the co-hosts of the All In podcast. Chamath retweeted this, and I saw it, and again, it's very, very, it's questionable. It's very questionable. So the official story is that this super tanker, which has gotten cited before for propulsion issues and has failed tests in other ports and apparently had an accident in Antwerp in Belgium a couple years ago, but is still out there, still chugging along. And this ship loses its propulsion. It loses power. It loses its propulsion. But this guy puts together a timeline of the ship lining itself up, not with the bridge, with the stanchion on the bridge. And the lights go out just before impact. The lights come back on just before impact. If you could scroll down a little bit, Chris, I know we're having trouble playing the video, but maybe you can go through like you did before. And if we watch this, now I've not confirmed this. Take everything with a grain of salt. But to me, this is 1,000% worth further investigation before we make declarations. So this ship leaves port. Go ahead, Chris. And then as this ship leaves port, it goes to bon voyage out into the ocean. And with its billions of pounds of weight, it starts out down the river towards the bay, towards the ocean, and it loses power, all right? But not before, keep going, Chris, not before coursing its action directly into the pillar. Now, people are saying that what happened is why it made that hard left turn was that it was dropping anchor. It was trying desperately to stop its momentum. It was trying desperately because look, once these things get going, it's unreal. Once these things get going, it's basically a moving island. The amount of force and weight that it has. Oddly enough, in the new Obama-funded movie about the end of the world, one of the key signs of the degradation of society before the apocalyptic civil war is that these tankers people would lose control of these tankers. Now, other people are saying that this just goes to show how outdated and out of touch and rusted and old our infrastructure has gotten. Maybe. But I got to tell you what, man. For a guy that travels for a living, The United States of America that I grew up in, and now I'm 10 years older than you, Chris. I'm not a ton older than you, but I'm 10 years older than you. The United States of America that I grew up in, you never for a second thought that planes would fall apart in midair, that ships would run into bridges. You know, like you never had to fear driving over a bridge. This is... Things are not going well. Things are going poorly. Groceries being 3 times as expensive as they should be seems to be the least of our trouble. Like, so many things are going so poorly at the same time. It leaves us with only one of 2 options. The people in charge are either stupid or they're doing this on purpose. That becomes a very, very difficult question. Right?
About a little bit of both.
Well, there you go. Right. And that could stupid people be doing things that they think, or maybe people who think they're smarter than they are trying to social engineer a quote unquote better world. And they're so bad at it that everything's just blowing up at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we can't trust driving over a bridge in this country, like, first of all, people need to take some accountability to, like, learn how things work, right? Like, what does the price of diesel mean to you? Does the price of diesel mean anything to you, Christian?
No, but now that I'm thinking about it, it probably should.
No, just what does the price of diesel mean? Have you ever even considered it once in your life?
No, but now that you mentioned it, I am.
No, nobody does.
Transports everything, right?
Everything.
Boats, trucks.
Has the price of
fuel?
There you go. Has the price of diesel gone down at all in the last 4 years?
Doubt it.
So this idea, diesel's supposed to be a relatively inexpensive thing to make, and it lasts longer. The whole reason that trucks run on diesel is it runs. They're able to run longer on it. So the fact that diesel has never come down means that prices will never come down. Everything is getting shipped. Nothing. We don't go to the store for like anything anymore. Everybody just goes on Amazon, buy. Well, that's a tanker that's bringing shit from China, probably, maybe Singapore, maybe the Philippines. Comes across the ocean. By the way, every one of those tankers, when it crosses the Pacific, I think I read is the equivalent of 1 million cars in the carbon that they give off. 1 million cars, every single one of those tankers. So that comes all the way across. It's not running on fairy dust. That's running on fuel. And then it gets taken off of the tanker and put on the back of a truck, which runs on fuel, which runs on diesel. And then it's brought to your place, your market. It's getting taxed along the way. And then people are sitting here going, why is everything so expensive? Guys, because one, we don't buy local anymore. 2, we don't make anything. Right? So, yeah, we're in a very transitory time in our period in our history. And I tell you what, the weirdest thing about this is our quote unquote elites. They always have a get out of jail free card. They always have a get out of genocide free card, our elites. And that's war. Whenever they muck it up to the point where they can't get out, they flip the war card. Oh, we got ourselves a Great Depression? No, we don't. What we have ourselves is a Second World War, buddy. Oh, we have a Civil War? It's fine. It's fine. We'll kill a couple million people. After the war, what happens? After the war, what happens? You kill 1 million working age men, you've just created 1 million jobs that need to be filled. And by the way, this whole shit is destroyed. Well, somebody's got to clean that up. We're going to get paid for it. War is their reset. They've been doing it forever. They weren't ready for the internet. They have been trying desperately to get us into a war for years now. They have been trying to start a war, and they are trying to get the public behind a war anywhere. They're trying to get the public, come on, get behind a war in Afghanistan. Come on. Come on, we're on Team Ukraine. We got to fight the Russians. Come on. Taiwan, stand up for democracy against evil China. Come on. Palestine, Israel. Come on, we got to fight. We got to fight. They're trying so hard to get the American people to get behind a war. Somebody, anybody, let us fight, please. We just want to kill a couple million of you. We want to make it easy to restart this economy. Come on. It's hard to govern. And for the first time in the history of humanity, we can communicate with people across the globe instantaneously to see through the war propaganda bullshit. So we don't buy it. We just don't buy it. We get lied to constantly. You know, and we're sitting here. You remember in the beginning of the Ukraine conflict where there was those Ukrainian soldiers and they're having that last stand. Do you remember when that happened, Chris? Do you remember that? Turned out it was complete bullshit, total war propaganda, and everybody's like these evil Russians, just like the evil Germans before them. It's straight out of 1984. It's straight out of Orwell. And you're sitting here like looking at your phone, going, I don't think that's true. I think these people are lying. I don't know
what's true and what's not. That's my problem.
Well, that's the thing, and they never had that.
I don't know where to find the. That's why you asked me if I'm interested in this stuff, and I am, but I just don't know where to look and who to go to find any legit information. And I think that's what the problem with a lot of younger people. They just tap out and just stay out of the game completely.
No doubt. You know, and there's this odd thing that the government has pulled this trick where you're somehow seen as being anti-American or anti-patriotic, or you hate your country if you question your government. Let's distill that off the jump, okay? We are a country founded by outlaws. We are not a country of bootlickers. We are not a country. Samuel Adams and Thomas Jefferson were not riding around with back of the blue stickers on the back of their buggy. All right? There was nobody that wanted what we have now. If our founding fathers could see what has transpired, well, first, they wouldn't have been surprised, right? Like Washington saw this come. If you ever get a chance, read Washington's farewell address. When he left, he was like, I'm telling you guys right now, no political parties, no foreign entanglements. I'm telling you, I can already see it happening. And he knew it. He knew that eventually there would come a time where our federal government was so strong that what they were trying to do with the quote-unquote United States of America wouldn't last. They've talked about this in the Federalist Papers, which every American should know, but every American doesn't. And we talk about this a lot on Slick and Thick. We are so bad at teaching history in this country, you have to believe it's intentional. They've had these discussions. Alexander Hamilton, the new hero of the modern left, was an original globalist. He wanted America to be a monarchy, the kingdom of America. He said, why would we fight this? Why would we fight this war? Why would we sacrifice everything? And now we have it all. The British Empire wanted all of this, and we have it. Why would we give it to the peasants? Why would we give it to the people? And that's the whole thing, this idea of democracy. We're never supposed to be a plural democracy. Plural democracy was tried in Greece. They knew it was garbage. Not everybody's, we've created this illusion of like equality as this like great and noble endeavor. We just want everyone to be equal. We want everyone to be equal. It's stupid. It's stupid. Equal access, that is a noble endeavor. Equality is dumb. It's dumb. It goes against the laws of the universe. And now people hear this and I can feel it. I can feel the reaction that I'm getting. I can feel it's like, oh, this guy's racist. This guy hates women. This guy's whatever. Because they've been so ingrained. Well, maybe hate women.
I was going to say, one of those is true.
But they've been so ingrained into they've been so indoctrinated to believe that equality is the only goal that matters, that merit and achievement, right? Like you can have equality of access. Now that's noble, right?
Well, it seems like trying to create equality goes against equality. I don't know if that makes sense.
100%.
Does that make sense?
As they're applying it, and that brings us to Boeing. Boeing has destroyed itself. One of the greatest brands in the history of the world has destroyed itself by going headfirst into the DEI. DEI, formerly known as woke, formerly known as affirmative action, formerly known as whatever you want to call it. DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Some would say DEI stands for didn't earn it. Is where you put that quote-unquote equality in front of anything else. And I think when it comes to making airplanes that have to keep people safe 35,000 feet in the air, I think aptitude is more important than inclusion. Now, people hear a white guy saying this, and they're immediately like, this guy, I'm talking about the Asians that they won't hire. I'm talking about the Asians that can't get into MIT and Harvard anymore because they were overrepresented. Just, guys, listen. You want diversity at your local Starbucks? Go for it. You want diversity on television? I mean, go for it. You know, that's fine. Everybody's represented. Everybody feels included. Fine. Whatever. But when it comes to ships that have to sail across the ocean and not hit bridges, when it comes to airplanes that need to keep people safe, flying across the country 10 miles in the air, can we agree that we want the best of the best working in these fields, regardless of the quantity of melatonin in their skin? Melanin? I don't even know what the fuck it is. Can we just all kind of like time out? I just want to make sure my doctor's the best. I don't really care what they look like or who they have sex with, or
I agree. If the pilot that's flying my plane is on 400 milligrams of Adderall to get me to wherever I need to be, that's cool with me.
You're cool. That's cool. Yeah. Cool. Listen, driving makes everybody a little racist. I don't care who you are. Driving makes everybody a little racist. Flying is going to make people a lot racist. If they keep shoving diversity, equity, inclusion down everybody's throat, people are going to get on that plane and they're going to they're going to look in the cockpit and go, huh. I just saw this motherfucker. I just saw this person get off the turnpike without using a blinker.
It's a red flag.
This pilot looks just like the person that was driving 45 in the left lane on my way here. Oh, boy. Hey, boy. Doors rip off. Yeah, it's all happening at once, and it's hard to believe it's anything other than a controlled demolition. It's a controlled demolition. I mean, we're always downwind from these climate warriors and these people that Davos the 2030 plan. We're going to reduce emissions. How are we going to reduce emissions? Well, we got to get rid of super tankers, and we got to get rid of flying. And it's like, we're in a global economy. How the hell are you? Oh, okay. You're going to start sabotaging everything so that nobody wants to do this. That's what we're doing. Okay. Now that's a conspiracy theory. That right there is total speculation. I have no evidence of that whatsoever.
I have a question. Do you think there's an actual way to save the planet in a way, or do you think at this point it's just going the way it's going to go?
So let's start with that generational difference between the two of us. Do you believe the planet is in peril?
I don't know.
But you just said, is there a way to save the planet? So that
everything
that question suggests that the planet's in peril.
Right. Everything that I've seen and heard is leaning towards not anytime that soon, but I mean, we're building more, we're creating more pollution. Mm-hmm. I mean, if it keeps going that direction, mm-hmm. you would have to assume, right, that at some point there's not going to be any more room
For
garbage or whatever, pollution, destroying the atmosphere. I don't know. I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate here.
No, I appreciate it. I'm not a climate change denier, but I've also lived through a little bit more. I remember when the ozone layer was going to kill us all. There was a hole in the ozone layer. And if we don't stop using these pesticides and these greenhouse gases, that there was going to be a hole in the ozone layer. And
the rainforest, Gerard? Come
on. The rainforest. I haven't heard anybody talk about the ozone layer in forever.
Ice is melting.
Ice is melting. The rainforest is dying, which is why we have to get rid of all our plastic straws and replace them with paper from trees. Then there was global warming, and the ice caps were melting. And it turns out the ice caps were getting thicker. And oddly enough, global warming makes things colder. That was the next thing that we had to believe because we were going through these crazy winters. Then there was also this idea that, you know, the conspiracy theorists, the tinfoil hat people were like, dude, they're trying to manipulate the weather. Like they're doing cloud seeding. They're shooting like silver particles up into the sky and like blah, blah, blah. And then everybody would harp. Everybody was like, what are you, a nut? Those are the original podcasters, the tinfoil hat guys. They'd be on their like CB radios, doing pirate radio, where they'd be in like Alaska saying, I promise you they're shooting shit into the sky. I see it. They'd be in Montana. And these people would be like, yo, these lunatics. And now like Harp completely and totally admits like, yeah, we do cloud seeding. What about it? Like, you know.
Right.
What do you mean? And now the new tinfoil is like these controlled energy weapons. Like
it's endless. The conspiracies are
these
endless.
fires, these fires out of nowhere that don't you know, that burn everything, but that's not blue.
I got another question. How do you?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of bullshit conspiracies, right?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Flat Earth. I don't think you're a flat Earth guy.
I'm not a flat Earth guy, but I also at the same time like I just don't give a shit.
How do you choose on which one to go with?
Oh, it's a great question.
Do you back it?
Oh, it's a great question. One, I've given up completely being 100% on anything.
Okay.
Outside of like things that I can prove viscerally, like I can prove government corruption. I can prove that our politicians are bought and sold.
Stock market manipulation.
I can prove it. Yeah, it's like beyond a shadow of a doubt. You know, Mike Benz on Twitter is phenomenal.
And those almost aren't even conspiracies at this point. Those are just like.
Well, I think everything starts as a conspiracy. Honestly, dude, one of my big things for like figuring out whether something is like real or not.
Reddit.
Is who denies it. Like as soon as the usual suspect, like Ukraine when it first happened, and everybody was on message all at the same time about we need to help Ukraine. George Soros' son was tweeting about the Ukrainian flags. Immediately I was like, oh boy, here we go. Uh-oh. You know? Once you can see it's its own language. Once you know how to read the language of politics, they don't really hide who they are or what they're doing. As far as like the other stuff is concerned, some of it it's just too farcical for me to believe. You know, like the Nephilim shit and the fucking
right.
You know, the lizards and under Antarctica and all that stuff. It's like, all right, well, if that stuff's real, then nothing we do matters at all. So I have to reject it outright because then literally, okay, like what are we even doing here?
We actually got a comment here from Google Krishna saying, "Sup, yeah, they don't really have an end goal. Proverb for the paranoid. Get them asking the wrong questions. Don't need to worry about giving them the right answer."
Yeah. Yep.
You're right, cause same.
Yeah, that's a great comment. Great comment, bro. The truth of the matter is like when you're over the target, they start domestic trouble. When you start asking the right questions, there's a race war, or a school shooting, or a terrorist attack. Did nobody find it odd that there were no terrorist attacks during lockdowns. Did nobody find that odd? Terrorism was the number one thing for over a decade. Since 9/11, little bit before, it was terrorists. It's us versus the terrorists. Us versus the terrorists. We've gotta spend more money in Iraq to get rid of ISIS and ISIL. And these guys were afraid of the Chinese flu. These suicide bombers didn't want to go out and become super spreaders. They could have blown up 3 Walmarts in America at the same time and completely crippled this country. Nobody would have gone out. People would have literally stayed inside and starved to death. They would have been so afraid. They had people afraid of the air. They could have just walked through our southern border. Our southern border is insane. So terrorism was the number one thing forever. All right? And then the vid happens. It's like we just completely forgot about it. And then we come out of the vid going, anybody can come in. What's the problem? Southern border wide open. Go to New York. Get yourself $50,000. We'll pay for everything. You know what kind of a sucker you've got to be a New Yorker still? As somebody that grew up in that area, you've got to be the biggest sucker in the world to pay rent and pay taxes up there. What a sucker. You're a chump. You've been out there struggling, living with 4 other people, 5 other people in Bushwick, taking a subway an hour to get to your $20 an hour job in Midtown. Doing your marches. I'm a good person. I'm marching. Black Lives Matter.
That just has a ring to it.
Fast forward 6 months later. Black lives don't matter that much. Migrant lives matter. Black people in Harlem, I don't give a shit. Pay up. Mayor Adams says immigrants got to live for free. Immigrants steal something, push people in front of the subway. Now, I'm a grandson of immigrants. I love immigrants. You can't be a chump. This is chump behavior. Whole generation of punks. I mean, that's the good thing about our generation is what I said before. Like, they can't get us into war. They just can't do it. They're trying desperately to get us to get behind one war, which is like, bro, no, we don't care. Trump's a bad guy. No, man, like you're the bad guy, guys. You're the bad guy. Yeah, Trump's a dick, but what you're doing is so clearly abusive. You're abusing what we love about this great nation, the ideals of justice, the ideals of property ownership. These are things that we all aspire to. America needs these ideals. Say that they're bullshit all they want. We can have that debate. I'll probably agree with a lot of it. But it's necessary. This is our American religion. America, it's not a tribe. America is a dream. America is a destination we are all walking towards. That's why this thing works. If you've ever gone to any other country, there's a religion that holds it together. There's a genetic tribalism that holds it together. There's ancestral roots. America doesn't have any of that. What holds us together here in America is the belief that we are in a system that gives us the best chances to feed our families, to be safe, to advance our lives. We believe that we'll be treated fairly under the law, and we will at least have the opportunity to improve our lot in life. Not very long ago, the caste you were born in dictated the trajectory of your life. If you were born a peasant, you always had to be a peasant. You weren't born with the right blood in the right house. You had no shot. Your only chance was to take up arms, become really good at a sword, become really charismatic, to recruit a bunch of bandits behind you, and then raid enough and pillage enough and become wealthy enough and murder enough people that then you became the law. When this breaks down in America, there is no America left. When nobody believes that they have a fair and equal shot in the eyes of the law, nobody will adhere to the law. When nobody believes that the bridges they drive over will be safe, that the ships will sail and that the planes will fly, this thing's going to come to a crashing halt. Because we are in America for this ideal of mutual benefit, that we'll put up with whatever we got to put up with because it's better than the alternative. That's getting whittled away at. It's getting whittled away at when you've got a family. There was a new study that came out. If you have a family of 4, Christian, for you to live a quote-unquote middle-class life, you have to make over $200,000 a year.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
$200,000 a year. If your family made $200,000 a year when I was growing up, you were wealthy.
Oh yeah,
wealthy.
Even when I was growing up,
wealthy. That wasn't upper middle class. That was wealthy. I remember Hillary Clinton campaigning to try to raise taxes, saying that a dual income family making $100,000. This was in 2008 when she lost to Obama. A dual income family making $100,000 should be considered wealthy. She ran on that. And I remember being in Jersey at the time and starting to get politically active, going like, has this bitch ever been to Jersey? No way.
Well, wealthy is like...
In Iowa, maybe back then. But $100,000 in Jersey, family of 4, you were just getting by in 2008. That was then.
Well, wealthy would be above rich, no?
No, well, it's rich, wealthy. It's above middle class, right? If we just take it poverty, lower class, middle class, upper class. Upper class, how would you define it? I know that this is something that they're constantly changing. Economics are constantly having these debates about it. But to me, upper class is 1 year of not working, then you're able to survive.
Okay.
And then I think you're upper class. I think if you can go a full year of zero income coming in and your lifestyle doesn't change, if you have a 1 year buffer or more, then in my mind, you're wealthy. All right. Really, wealth now has nothing to do with what you have, and it's more to do with what you have access to. Credit is the new wealth. You're seeing this. I've said this for years now. Robert Kiyosaki has said it long before me. Having access to credit is what wealth is. This is why I think the number one way we can get things back on track, our peasants revolt, our farmers revolt, our Occupy Wall Street of the new millennium is the citizen debt strike. Because it's very hard for people to understand when you're living day to day and you need credit just to survive. Credit is seen as like a luxury. Credit is seen as, almost like a bad thing. It's like, oh, fine, I'll put this on my credit card because we're middle class. And maybe on the verge of going to lower class, where like if you miss 2 weeks of work, you're in big, big trouble. So credit is something that is seen as like a last ditch thing for a lot of people. But for the uber wealthy, for the ultra wealthy, credit is how they make their money. Right? Because you pay taxes on income. Right? So if you make $1 million a year and you live in New York, let's say, out of that $1 million, after it's all said and done, $400,000 gone, taxes. Right? But if you have $1 million in stock, company stock, well, then you can go to the bank and you can use that $1 million as leverage and take out credit. Say, all right, I want to take out a loan of $500,000 against my $1 million of stock. And then they'll say, okay, this is your rate. Because you're really wealthy, we'll give it to you for the lowest rate possible, 3%. So 3% of $1 million or 3% of $500,000 over the course of a year is what? I don't even know. Was it $60,000? Probably. So what's 3%? Hey Siri, what's 3% of $500,000? 15,000. I was way off. 15,000. So instead of paying $400,000 in taxes, you can pay $15,000 in interest. I don't think people really understand how the wealthy do this.
I definitely don't. Now it's making more sense.
Does that so like when
How
people
do you pay it back? How do you go about? What would the process be like as far as the whole thing? Like you take the loan out.
It's completely legal, by the way. I'm not breaking any news. Is like this is legal money laundering. This is legal tax evasion. How do you take? So like, what do you understand what's happening to Trump in New York? Do you have any idea? Nobody has any idea. I can every time I have this conversation, it really. And I sound so arrogant when I say this, but I'm just saying it like, man, like these guys, people just really don't know how the world works for these people. So what they did with Trump is they said that he lied about the value of his home, Mar-a-Lago. He used that as collateral to get a loan. Do you know how loans work?
Gotcha.
All right, most people don't know how loans work. All right, I have a thing, okay, and I say that this thing is worth $1 million, okay. And I go to the bank and I say, listen, I need $100,000. And they say, okay, because this is how the banks make money. They say, okay, how are you going to pay me back? And you say, well, I'm using it for a business. And that business is going to make money. And I'm going to pay you back. And it's going to take me 3 years. So I need a 36-month loan. And they go, okay, what if you don't pay it back? And I say, well, I have this $1 million thing that you can have. It's basically a pawn. It's a pawn shop. A bank is a pawn shop. Like we use these like really fancy terms, and people wear fancy expensive suits to scare the common people away from what these things really are. The stock market is a casino. It's gambling. It's gambling. If you buy a call, you're like, look, I've got October calls on, and everybody's like, Jesus Christ, what is
You
this?
definitely get a rush from it too, I think.
100%.
Just like you would gambling.
100. It's gambling, but it's gambling the way that poker or blackjack are gambling, where you can make informed decisions. But the house, it's still rigged. It's rigged for the house. Don't get it twisted, man. It's gambling. A call is a bet. That's all it is. Do you know what a call is? All right, we're going to go through this. All right. So first things first. All right. You get the loan. They give you the loan because they say, hey, look, that thing's worth $1 million. They have somebody that comes and appraises it and says, all right, it's not worth $1 million, but that thing is worth $500,000. And then they take out insurance on that for $500,000. So if something happens, the bank gets that $500,000. So the bank makes a bet. The bank says, sure, I'll give you $100,000, and if you don't pay it back, I take your $500,000 thing. Okay? So they give you the $100,000, and then you pay it back, right? You get the money, you'd run your business, or in this case, you build your building, and then you pay the money back, and you're good. So what Trump did is he used his home, Mar-a-Lago, and he said it was worth $1 billion. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but it was $1 billion, right? Or like 200 million. It was a lot. It was a ton of money.
It was like 200-300 million.
Yeah, it was a ton of money. Whatever. I'm just throwing out $1 billion. It was, So the bank gave him the loan against his house, right? So he built a building.
Just off him saying that that's worth.
No, they send their own appraiser.
Gotcha.
They send their own appraiser.
And at the time, it was appraised for that amount.
Yeah, they have independent appraisers, and then he's got to get insurance on it. God forbid, like you can't burn the house down. Like we get the insurance. So they cover their assets. They cover their asses. But they need the money. They want money. I'm going to loan. Look, you're not a risk. I'm going to give you the money because I know you're going to pay me back. You have a good high credit score. So he gets the money, and he builds, which then makes him massively wealthier because now he can use that new building to get another loan. This is how the game is played. All right? So now, 30 years later, Letitia James, famous for running on the campaign slogan, too male, too pale, and too stale. That's how she got elected. So said that the New York State government was too male, too pale, and too stale. And if there's anything we know, that sexism and racism only matter if you're not talking about white men. So not only was she not pilloried for being sexist and racist, she got elected. And now she goes after Trump and says that he lied on this application. Now, Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But here's the thing. He paid back the loan. There was no victims. The loan was paid back. There was literally a victimless crime that's decades old. And if that is the precedent, and Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank did a great job of saying this, if that's the precedent, well, now we have to go to every single person who ever took out a bank loan ever, and we have to say, all right, what were your assets here? Did you inflate your assets?
Well, right, because I had to get my first car. I had to say I was making 6 figures. And I think...
Were you not?
Of course not. Still am not. But that's the thing. Like, and I think the salesman even told me.
Yeah.
He's like, no, you have to put over this amount.
That's how everybody makes money.
Right.
Did you pay back the loan?
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, so then what the...
yeah.
So who cares?
It, but yeah.
So who cares? You understand? Like... Now we're setting a precedent that says, oh, okay. Now here's the thing. Then they tried saying that Mar-a-Lago was only worth $18 million.
Which can't be true.
It's insanity.
It's
But because then
Palm Beach.
Because what they then said is when he didn't want to pay back the $450 million bond, the ransom for his properties, they were like, well, just sell Mar-a-Lago. It's got to be worth $250 million. It's like, well, which one is it? Which one is it?
Because if he doesn't pay that back, they take ownership.
So he just gotta stay on that. Kind of did a cold-blooded NWA. He's kind of like a 90s rapper in the way he talks, bro. They said, how are you going to pay back? And now they got to drop down to like 150. They were like, how are you going to pay back the 150? And he turned back. His people were trying to get him like, don't answer. He turned back to me and he goes, cash. Like, I'm fucking cash. I'm going to give you the 170 cash. But they have backed off at the last second because they know they're turning people off. They're losing the black community, losing the Spanish community. They're losing normal people. James Carville.
Who is?
The Democrats.
Okay.
Because it's like, bro, come on. What are we doing here? You're going to make him a victim? How did you go so far that you've made Trump a victim? This dude he grew up rich as shit. He does sleazy reality TV and he does sleazy
business
real estate deals. He makes international trades with people that gray area.
Sometimes he just doesn't pay people.
Yeah, he uses bankruptcy laws. But that's the thing. He uses the laws of this country to exploit the laws of this country in ways that like, Dave Chappelle said it best. I don't know if you saw what Dave Chappelle said about him when he did it on SNL. And he goes, Trump stood up there and he said, the system is rigged. I know because I use it. And then he turns to Hillary and goes, you could change the system tomorrow, but you won't because your donors like that it's rigged because they use it the same way that I do. And then she goes, no, it's not like that. And Dave Chappelle goes, and then every black man in America looked at it and goes, nah, bitch, is what he said. And in that moment, a star was born. And it's the truth. It's the truth. I said the same thing about PPP loans. I could be against PPP loans and 100% on board with anybody that took them because look, if they're going to give the money out, don't be a chump. Bottom line here, folks, bottom line, don't be a chump. Do not be a low-hanging fruit. Remember your roots as an American. NASCAR. You know how NASCAR started, bro?
No idea.
NASCAR started by rednecks tricking out their cars so they can run away from the cops. There was moonshine. I swear to God, I'm not making this up. It was a bunch of moonshiners with tricked out cars to get away from the ops. And then they started getting together and racing them bitches. They used to be drunk on moonshine, throwing nos in them buggies. I swear to you, look it up if you don't believe me. It started because outlaws were running away from the cops, getting away with it, and then bragging to each other. And then they got together and they would race these cars, and the moonshiners started NASCAR. John Hancock was a damn pirate. Sam Adams, right? Like it's so funny to me when I see people talking about like somebody's past, like, well, they did things 30 years ago that were questioned. Sam Adams got drunk every night, and him and his boys would like get hammered and then go a little bit of domestic terrorism. Like I said, like that's what they would do. Now he's got a beer named after him, Sam Adams, him and his boys would go to the pub. You know what pub's short for?
What?
Public house. They'd go to the pub. They'd tie one on a little bit, start bitching about the king, and be like, you know what? I'm going to fuck that dude's tee up. Well, you won't do it. You won't do it. Oh, yeah?
Right.
Watch me. That harbor looks thirsty. We're about to throw the tea in the harbor, son. Now we're over here like, I don't know. I don't know if I should say the word. It could be misconstrued as I don't want people to think I'm a bigot. Like, my God Almighty, don't be a chump. Don't be a chump. Like, what's it gonna take for people to sit here and go like, hey, stop taking a shit in the street. Hey, get out of here. Get out of here. You just sitting there watching a dude, some homeless dude. You're in LA. You're paying $5,000 a month rent for your vape shop, and a dude is just gonna sit there with a needle sticking out of his arm, pulling his pants down, taking a shit in front of you, and you're like, hey man, I don't know, man. Like, it's a free country. No, you get the hose and you say, get out of here. Get out of here now. That's what you do.
People just don't have any respect anymore. I mean, I literally walked out of my apartment today into my hallway, watched my neighbor, we're not going to name names, 2 dogs take pisses in the hallway, carpeted hallway, and just keep walking.
What'd you say?
I said, you going to clean that up?
Did you?
Swear to God.
Attaboy.
But the answer I got was everybody else's dogs did. And I was so stunned, and we are friends, so I didn't want to go crazy. But just stuff like that.
No, that's unacceptable. Yo, we live here.
Yeah.
We
like,
live
we
here.
Pay stupid money.
We live here. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
What is going on?
Yeah, and then they're like, well, go to the, you got to go through the proper channels. No, fuck that shit. I don't going to go to the HOA.
I want to kick your door down.
No, like, hey, clean that.
Right.
You dirty bitch. Clean it. Your dog's just pissing in the hallway.
Insane.
Where'd you grow up?
Crazy.
Yeah, get out of here. Get out of here. That's horrible. Yeah, man, I don't know. Like, I just don't know what to. I don't know what to like.
That's not a homeless person,
dude. I feel like, I swear to God, I feel like I must have like died of COVID, and I woke up in a different dimension in a different world. That's insane. I have woken up in a dimension where squatters can go into another person's house, call the cops, and have the homeowner arrested. Bro. I know exactly what I would do if I was in that situation. And I'm not going to say it on air. I know. Let me tell you what. If I can't have that house, nobody can.
We could use our imagination.
If I can't have my house, nobody can. I would give 5 seconds warning to get the dog out of there. And after that, we all get the world we deserve. I really, truly believe that. We all get the world we deserve. We get the world we are willing to put up with.
I had to explain how somebody I know, a close friend, didn't know what squatting was or it was a thing. And I had to explain to them that you can basically move in somebody else's property and then they can't kick you out.
Well, there was a dude on TikTok teaching other illegal immigrants how to do it. Don't forget to put yourself on camera when you're talking, by the way. But he's literally telling people how to do it. The Catholic Church is telling people how to do it. The unfortunate thing is that this is a communist takeover. That's the unfortunate thing. And I've been talking about it for a long time. In fairness to people, I studied this in college. This is what my senior thesis was on. I was political science, Marxism. Marxism is really, I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I don't really give a shit. Marxist ideology and people that become leftists, people that become communists, it's a trauma response to being outcasts. You don't see attractive women becoming leftists. You don't. Because attractive women, there was like this whole thing on Twitter the other day where like they were trying to like out Sydney Sweeney as a conservative. She's like, look at her dad post all this MAGA stuff. And it's like, well, Sydney Sweeney's fucking gorgeous. She's unbelievably gorgeous. The system works for Sydney Sweeney. She's going to get married to whoever she wants to be married to. She's going to have kids if she wants to have kids. She's probably going to live an affluent lifestyle regardless of how her career goes from now on. She is an upper echelon mate. So the system works for her. right? Her feedback loop, her whole life. Now, that doesn't mean that her life's been easy, and that doesn't mean that she doesn't have insecurities, and that doesn't mean that that doesn't have its own rash of problems with predators, and I'm sure she's been sexually assaulted and all these other, and it has I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm definitely not saying it's privileged, because I fucking hate that term. But what I am saying is that the system works for beautiful women. Being a leftist is a trauma response for people that the system does not work for. They have mating insecurity, right? They have income insecurity. They don't know if they're going to have enough money. Why? It's a jealousy. It's a cult of jealousy born out of the fact that I went to school and I followed the system and I did everything they told me to do, and I got my master's degree, and now I'm a professor at a college and I make $50,000 a year, and the buttfuck bully who played football and went to the Marines and is now an electrician is half as smart as me and makes $150,000 as a cross-country trucker. The system's broken. Capitalism's the worst. You know, this guy's a plumber and he makes more money than I do, and I have my PhD. And this is why colleges and academics are always the ones spearheading these leftist collectivist ideas.
Because that's more money. It's all about money at the end of the day.
Yeah, because they think that you should get paid for who you are, not for what you offer. And that's a huge thing. The people that don't like credentials, that's where the credentialism. That's, I'm a PhD. I got this. So they're saying I did the thing. I'm in the in crowd, right? I spoke the PC words, and I did everything I was supposed to do. You know, why is the guy day trading crypto making 3 times as much as me?
Right, and it seems nowadays...
Well, it can't be me. Yeah. I did the right thing. It's crypto that's wrong. It's the day trading that's wrong. He should be taxed more, right? So they don't understand that who you are does not dictate your value, your worth, right? Like, you want to do things that you want to do. The beauty of our system is that you can do them. There's nobody forcing you to do things you don't want to do, right? You can live a very minimalist lifestyle. You can have a small apartment, and you can have a small, like, nobody's saying you have to get in this game. But on the other hand, you can't provide no value to society whatsoever and then expect to be made millions and millions of dollars, right? Like, if you're the top in the world of whatever you do, they can look at professional athletes and they can say, you know, nobody should be making that much money. And you say to yourself, look, if you're the best in the world at a board game, backgammon, checkers, chess, you can make millions of dollars playing that game, but you have to be top 3 in the world of 8 billion people to do that. Otherwise, you have to provide service to the person that is top 3 in that world. And you can sit here and say, man, this is bullshit that I have to, tutor the kid of the backgammon world championship for $100 an hour to make my money when he plays backgammon and makes $1 million. To me, that's a beautiful thing. A lot of people don't understand exactly the cult activity that follows most Marxism, socialism, communism, progressive democracy, whatever you want to claim it. It to me, it's the same thing. Like, have you ever heard of the Red Guard? Have you ever heard of the struggle sessions?
I have not.
All right. So there's a new show from the guys who created Game of Thrones. I think it's called 3 Body Problem.
Okay.
And there's a scene. I'm shocked that they did this. I'm shocked that China allowed Netflix to do this. But there's a scene depicting a struggle session during the quote-unquote cultural revolution in China. Go ahead and pull that up. So for people that don't know, these are Marxists that have taken over China, and this is the post-communist revolution. And the Red Guard is all kids. It's high school and college-age kids. And they're doing what's called a struggle session. They publicly embarrass and humiliate people who stood against the revolution. And this guy is he's a professor of physics, and he's saying, regardless of what your political beliefs are, physics stay true. So they're yelling at him, screaming at him. He's obviously been beat up. That's his daughter looking on, and he's holding his ground. While the other people before this, see, he's getting yelled at. The other people before this were begging for forgiveness. You're right. I'm sorry. Mao's right. Communism's right. Now, what they did in the communist revolution is they got rid of the four olds. Okay. And this is, so his wife is going to come on now, and she's going to deny him, and so that she can get in the good graces of the mob, essentially, right? And there you go. So the four olds of China were old ideas, old culture, old customs, and old habits. The Red Guard youths during the Cultural Revolution, breaking and throwing away the four old traditions: religion, literature, capitalism, and imperialism. Does this sound familiar to you at all? Does this sound like our summer of love? Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter was always, you can stop the video. Black Lives Matter was always a front from the beginning. It had nothing to do with advancing black lives in America. It was using black pain and our country's original sin of chattel slavery as a Trojan horse for a communist revolution, a globalist takeover, whatever. Patrisse Cullors, one of the original founders of Black Lives Matter, is a trained Marxist. She admitted that herself. What you just saw on the screen there is Marxism in play. All right? The Bolshevik Revolution, the Chinese Communist Revolution, the Cultural Revolution, that came to our shores. All right? And it's now gone online. If you look at the four olds, if you say anything bad about communism, I'm sure this video will be flagged. But you can talk about how bad capitalism all day long. You say anything bad about a protected group, that's the new in group, then you're going to get flagged. You're going to get censored. But you can say the most horrid, rancid stuff about white people are our founding fathers or men all day long. There's nothing you can say about a straight white man online that will get you flagged. Now, I'm of the opinion that's okay. I don't think there's anything you should say online that should get you flagged. The best disinfectant is sunlight. If somebody is a racist, let them come out in the open and everybody knows who they are, and then you can compete with them in the marketplace of ideas. When you silence somebody, what you're saying is, I don't have an argument against what you're saying. So you're saying you don't have an argument against anti-Semitism? You don't have an argument against racism? You're not making the point you think you're making. But I think there's hope also, because I've seen more and more people become aware. I've seen more and more people become open to this idea that what they're being told is a lie. I see the ratings for the news go down every day. I see quote-unquote journalists, which are really just state propagandists, get fired every day. We're winning, as it turns out, Chris. We are winning. But, man, oh man, do they know where the levers of control are? Do they know where they are, man? So this is Gerard versus Evil, and basically what I'm going to do here, my plan, my goal, and we'll clean it up. I know I rambled a lot in this first episode, and we'll try to do some segments. We'll try to make sure that there's more audience interaction. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys the news and social commentary through my lens as I see it. Take it or leave it. I'll try to do it in a kind of sarcastic, funny way that you guys have come to know and love. But this is going to be current events. This is going to be history. This is going to be social science. We're going to be having the tough conversations that a lot of people don't like having, but I think we need. And I appreciate you guys for tuning in to this episode. And we'll be doing it once or twice a week going forward here. And I want to finish today on Diddy. No Diddy. This dude, it turns out, and people talk about like what podcasting, what are you doing? Like why do you think that this is helping? Well, because Cat Williams went on Club Shay Shay and exposed this dude, and the next thing you know, the feds are raiding not one but two homes, and he's on a private jet headed to a non-extradition site, and he's in Antigua. Right? TMZ reports Love Air private jet tracker amid raids. Diddy's plane goes down the Caribbean island. Now they don't know whether Diddy's on it or not. We can't. It hasn't been said whether Diddy has been arrested or not. All we know is that both of his homes have been raided and that his plane took off. That's all the information that we have. Kind of weird that Diddy's homes both get raided. And Jeffrey Epstein, nobody that was on Jeffrey Epstein's list homes have been raided. Kind of weird. Kind of weird that Trump is going through these ultra public trials. Now, I hate whataboutism, but he's going through these ultra public trials. Ghislaine Maxwell, out of the news. We owe Corey Haim an apology. We owe Amanda Bynes an apology as a people. These guys, these are horrible, awful, ridiculously bad people that have been doing horribly awful, ridiculously bad things for a long time. And they've been getting away with it on our watch, talking about cancel culture. You know, we canceled the Washington Redskins mascot, but not the pedophiles running Nickelodeon. You know, if Diddy did these things, man, he deserves to fry. He deserves to fry. But Candace Owens had a really interesting tweet, which he said that they did 2 no-knock raids at the same time before they arrested him. And she thinks that's because they want to destroy evidence, not find it. Who are these people? I mean, Diddy is one of the biggest Democratic donors ever. He's given more money to the Democratic Party than probably 99% of planet Earth. He did rock the vote campaigns on MTV to try to get people to go out and vote for Democrats. He stumped for Barack Obama. He's held fundraisers for Hillary Clinton. And the feds are basically, at this point, the FBI and the CIA and the IRS are basically the private police forces for the Democratic Party. That's the truth. I don't give a shit what people say. That's the truth. They are the private those are not advocating for us as people. You think the FBI is actually out there to get the bad guys? Buddy, to the FBI, we are the bad guys. Do you think the FBI is knocking down Nancy Pelosi or Paul Pelosi's door to find out, hey, how exactly did you do 250% better than the S&P 500 in the stock market the last 10 years? How is everything you do recession proof? They don't care. They don't care. But it's all coming out in the light. This is why they're trying to get rid of us. This is why they censor me. This is why they don't want you guys hearing this stuff. I for a long time, I sat here going like, is this worth it? Is what I'm doing worth it? How do we fight back? Yeah, this is how we fight back. Jokes. They hate jokes. They want to cancel comedy. They hate the internet. They hate memes because they can't control us. If not for social media, if not for shit posters and podcasters, we would be in a war right now. I know that sounds nuts, but I really believe it. They can't control the narrative anymore. We expose their lies. Our bullshit meter is too good. We catch them in shit all the time. So like an abusive husband, like an abusive boyfriend who's constantly cheating and beating on a poor woman, what does that guy do immediately? When the friends go to her and say, you got to leave that guy. I got proof he's cheating on you. What does the guy do? He said, you can't see those friends no more. I don't want you hanging out with them. They're bad. They just don't love how much we love each other. They're toxic. They're always lying. Gaslighting. We're in an abusive relationship. Our government is that abusive boyfriend. Our government is beating and cheating on us. Our government is cheating on us. They're getting all their money from overseas. You think somebody that gets $10 million from Israel gives a shit what you think about them? How much did you donate to their campaign? They don't care about you. They care about who's paying them. They're bought. And if you don't like it, if you call them out, then they beat you. You don't like me cheating on you? Bang, bang. I make more money than you. I keep the lights on in this house. How dare you? They're that boyfriend. That's our government. And we sit here and we try to tell you, girl, you should leave him. Girl, he ain't getting better. You should leave him. And what do? Limit access. I don't want you seeing them anymore. Turn them off. They literally, our federal government has been caught naming names on Twitter and on Facebook and on Google, limiting the access. We don't want people listening to this person. Lower their posts, lower their ratings. The shadow ban is confirmed. We always knew there was a shadow ban. We didn't know it was coming from the government. The government is literally telling these social media companies to abuse their customers because we don't like what they're saying. It's a cancer. It's a cancer. It's a cancer in our body politic, and we have to address it. You can't negotiate with cancer. You can't wait out cancer. Cancer is not a phase that you grow through. You address cancer, or it kills you. And here we're going to address it. Here we're going to drag what's in the shadows out into the light, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. They hate fun. They hate jokes. They hate laughter. They hate everything that makes us love being here, being a part of it. So in our little corner of the world here, for the 5,000 people watch this on TikTok, thank you. For everybody else that watched us across YouTube, please give us a follow. Follow me at Gerard DGAF. Gerard does give a fudge. Check out Christian Perello.
Thanks, G.
Yep. Does a great job over there. And check me out. Please like, sub, all that stuff. And then if you're around, every other Thursday night I do a comedy show here in Boca Raton, Florida. Come check it out. And this Sunday, Easter Sunday, I'll be in Nashville with Dave Landau. And then I got shows in Fort Lauderdale and Orlando and West Palm Beach and Delray coming up. So check me out, Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and everywhere else. I'm now on X, Twitter, at GerardDGAF. I love y'all. This is Gerard versus Evil. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.